Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ To Go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com. Third thing we're brought to you by is Rat Bat. You got rats? Want to kill bats? Kill them with a rat bat. Fourth thing we're brought to you by is hot dog flavored water ingredients. If you want to add it to your smoothie, hot dog flavor ingredient. All right, we're live. What can you state your name?
Yeah. My name is Orelle Castillo.
Castillo. So I just want to talk about I talked to you last week and you brought up a couple things that I wanted to talk about. First, let's maybe talk about how I know you. Where you're from. You're from China, right?
I wish.
You wish? Really? Where are you from?
Belize, Central America.
Belize. And how do you know people in Arizona?
So the lead pastor, David Stockton from Living Streams, went to Belize several different times. And the second time he went there with his family, he moved into the town where I lived, which was in Dangriga. And I met him at a worship night, and I told him, hey, I want to do this. I want to, whatever it is that you're doing, I just want to do it. And I didn't understand it. I didn't know where it came from. But he told me, yeah, come to my house and we'll rehearse. We'll do what we need to do.
And he lived in Dangriga at that time?
Yeah, he lived in Dangriga. So I lived on the other side of the town. And so I would ride my bike every day to his house.
Is that far?
Yeah.
I've never been to Dangriga. I have no idea how big it is.
It's not too big. It's about there's about 12,000 people there. So the ride was about 15 minutes. So it's
on a bike.
Yeah, it's not too
That's
far.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but riding.
You're a young man. Right? I mean,
riding is hard though. So yeah, I would ride there, and then I would be there from about 2:30 to 4:30, because then he'd go play basketball. Which
sounds like the life, man.
Which was weird because he played basketball at the same place I would go play ball, but I've never met him prior to seeing him
really?
At church. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing ever. And so yeah, I would just be at his house every day, all night, and he didn't get tired of me, I think. But yeah.
Well, obviously not. You're staying at his house too now.
Yeah.
That
I'm
Nate,
out here.
so
yeah.
She didn't get sick of you.
It is. It's been good though. Yeah. So and then he came back.
What did you do at his house? You just hung out with him?
Yeah, I would just be there all day, and then we'd practice some music, do some worship songs and what's not, hang out with the kids, take the kids to go swimming or fishing, whatever they wanted to do. The neighborhood kids, they would just come there so early. And
the whole neighborhood would come in there?
Yeah. All the kids from everywhere would just be at his house and
hanging out at his house.
Yeah.
His wife is really good with kids.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So they had to make a rule whereby kids knew the time they were supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So like Monday to Friday, they could be there at lunchtime, and then from 3 to 4. And then Saturdays it's like 9 to 12 for the girls, and like 1 to 3 for the guys. And then Sunday was like never. Like you never come over. Never come. Yeah. But some of them would still show up.
Yeah.
You know kids.
Oh, for sure. They gotta have a break. I mean, they have to have their own personal time,
right?
Like, as a own family, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of run into that sometimes with jiu-jitsu, like always being here and like, you know what? I gotta be with my family too, man.
Right. It's like hard now, especially when you work from home. You're like, you need to know when to cut the time off.
Oh yeah.
To say, all right,
this
it's
is
work.
During the pandemic, this is, I think, hard for a lot of people. Like,
yeah.
Especially people that don't have like a set time for work, where they just have to get work done. And if you don't have like a set time, like you clock in, maybe even online you clock in, you know, or like classes, like you were taking online classes, you're saying, if it's just whenever, then that can like string out all day long. Like just
Oh yeah.
you're just working 16 hours.
Right. You spend your entire week just doing that, and you forget that you actually have a life outside.
You're supposed to have a life. Yeah, you're supposed to have a life outside. So you hung out with him, and then he taught you guitar, right?
Yeah, he taught me how to play
bass, the beginning part of it.
Yeah, I almost all that I know now, because I'm not that good playing, so I just know the basics, but I could get around, which was weird because, like we mentioned, I'm a left-handed person.
Yeah,
and then I learned to play right-handed, and he didn't know that.
Who didn't know that either
Dave,
at all?
Dave didn't know that I was a left-handed person.
Oh man, I mean, I think as a left-handed person, I usually pick that up pretty quick. I didn't notice that you were left-handed either.
Really?
Though. No, but usually
right.
It's just something that I'm aware of because I've been left-handed my whole life, and everyone forces you to be like right-handed. Even like the sports that I would play, like I would try. My neighbors played golf, and my parents were too poor to buy golf clubs or anything, and I tried to take lessons, and they let me borrow my neighbors' clubs, but they're right-handed clubs. And I was like, well, I'm going to be goofy at this no matter what. So I just played right-handed, like it didn't matter because it was foreign to me anyway,
Right.
And then, let's see, what else? Boxing, same thing. I learned how to do standard stance. And then, what else? And I switched later to lefty. So I can do both left or right with striking, punching, and stuff. But certain things, like it's been weird with being a left-handed. But when I tried to play guitar, my cousin, I was telling you, was a lefty, and he was my first person that tried to teach me guitar, and he was like, just play right-handed. I was like, and so I tried, and then I would play like air guitar, and I'm always playing left-handed air guitar. So I was like, I'm just gonna buy a left-handed guitar, and I still suck. So terrible. But do you practice every day?
No, it's like normally before I go on a gig or something, like they would ask me,
practicing?
Hey, you want to lead worship? I'm like, all right, sure. Then I go practice 5,
But you got to learn
songs.
the songs you're gonna be playing. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I think you said they got you a guitar. The church bought you a guitar.
Yeah,
That's cool.
So when Dave was there, Alex Seekins and his team went there with a couple high schoolers, and they brought me a guitar. It was like this nice blue guitar. It was so nice.
Blue?
Yeah, it was so nice. And then I ended up giving it to somebody else because I had gotten a new one that the church ended up sponsoring as well. And I'm like, I don't need 2 guitars, so I'll.
Well, that's nice that it was given to you, so you gave it to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. And so the person that has it, they love it. They were playing every time. So I'm like, hey.
You're in school right now, right?
Yeah.
And I think you said English literature?
Yeah, I got my bachelor's in English lit.
And then
it's not fun.
No? Why?
Just a lot
of
reading.
Work? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literature. This could be a lot of reading.
I know. Just the stuff they have me reading. I'm like,
Is it just very dry, like hard to get through, or?
Yeah. It's most of that, and they're saying, well, it's because you won't run into it on the regular day, so you gotta go outside of what you would normally read.
Yeah.
But that's
like the classics, or?
Yeah, it's like a lot of history mixed novels and stuff like that. So it's just.
What do you think the worst novel you had to read that's a classic?
Well,
they're like, you were like, this is terrible. This is so hard to read.
See, that's the thing. Like, I know what it is, but because it was so bad, I did not bother remembering the name. I'm just like, I went through it, I read it, and it's like, it's done.
There's no books you're like, I hated that book.
Oh yeah, almost all of them.
All of them?
Almost.
Really?
There were like a handful of books.
Is there any books that you were like, I like this book?
Yeah. It was The Man from Javanese. So that was a really good. So I think the teacher just took like an excerpt from a book or a story, and so that was interesting. Where this guy tried to trick his way into becoming a teacher, and it was so funny. But it was a good.
It's a good book.
It was a good one. Yeah.
Would Do you ever write stories yourself too, like short stories? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually in a class right now. It's a creative nonfiction class where I have to write my own short stories. And I've written about 6 of them, and I'm working on a book.
Nonfiction.
Yeah.
So you have to pick a subject, basically, that you know, or
Well, they just like freestyle, just so they give us different things to work on, like storytelling or building a character and stuff like that, and then you have to create your story around that, but you just write whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's been fun. I'm working on a book as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is the book?
It's so the title was I Lean Not on My Own Understanding. But Pastor Kenny told me, it's kind of long. You should bring it now, so it's now not mine but yours. And it's just about like stories from my life whereby I ran into hard times
Mm-hmm.
trying to do things my own way.
Yeah, this is the hardest.
Right, and I'm like, God, I just lean on you and not my own. So
Yeah.
I'm just going through that, putting some scriptures in and using my story to help people.
I struggle with that a lot, cause I just always been a leader.
Yeah.
So like I lead, and I even try to lead my own life, but like you need to try to see. I try now to see what does God want of me. Like, what do you require of me? What am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And sometimes I just go off on my own. I'm like, no, I'm going to do this, and that's where I run into trouble. I think that's that leaning on my own understanding, versus like His wisdom. And I'm probably just not reading enough of the Bible, honestly.
Yeah, we get caught up in our own ways of living, and when life is sweet, it's just like, God, I don't need you right now. And then when it gets hard,
you're like, oh,
God,
please,
where are you?
Please help me.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've done okay at being present for God in the good times, and be thankful for those times. And I've been going through some serious rough times, which with the business, with pandemic and stuff. But now I try to think of being thankful for the good times.
Yeah.
So like I'm in the bad times, like remember, like you had time that it wasn't all difficult.
Right.
Your life hasn't always been difficult, and be reminded like God did give you some time that was pretty awesome, and I wasn't caught in a war zone. I wasn't caught in a refugee camp. I wasn't starving, because God can put you in those positions too, and I should just be thankful for that. Maybe this is difficult, but it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
It's not like that level of difficult. There's people dealing with way harder things than me. And then, the wisdom, I still struggle with that though, like leaning on God's wisdom
in like every detail of your life,
and trying to find what it is what is He saying, what does He want. That's hard.
Yeah, I remember I was watching this video on YouTube, this pastor just talking, and it's like, you just gotta seep in. You can't just, all right, God, tell me what you want, and then you still do whatever you want. It's like, if God tells you to do something, you just go, and you gotta be brave, you gotta be bold enough to see it through, because most of the times when He tells us to do something, it's like, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something, not that. Or to let go of something,
Yeah, for sure. it sometimes I've gone through hard things, and then I was like, well, I don't understand what is the purpose of this. And then later I'm like, oh, with time, like I get more clarity.
Yeah.
Like with time, there's clarity sometimes. Like, and I go, oh, that's what that was for. That's why I had to do that thing or go through this terrible thing. And then I got knowledge that after that, like you had to go through it to get the wisdom, to get the knowledge, to understand, what the purpose was, Seeking purpose is hard.
It is.
In things. How long do you think is it? How long have you been writing that book for?
For about 1.5 years now.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
You've been at it for a while then.
Yeah, because I started, and then every time I go back, which one thing they like taught me not to do, because I would go over one chapter and then go back and then fix it up, and I will change a bunch of things in it, and then I go back, and so every time I'm rewriting some of the same stuff, and they're like, no, just write everything out, and then so.
Oh, right, all of it. Don't
Yeah.
go back to chapters until it's done.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I'm finished,
Yeah, because I guess you'll get stuck and you won't ever get past that first chapter, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I have all the chapters labeled out, written out. I have a few stuff written already for them. So it's just like to go and like add the finishing touch to it now. But then my computer went in, so I'm kind of stuck.
Computer went what?
It's like broke now.
Right now?
Yeah, so I'm trying to get the stuff on it on a hard drive so I can put it on something else. I mean, it's crazy.
You got to have, you know what the trick is, I think, is to email yourself.
That's what they told me too.
Yeah, email yourself, because then you can always just find your emails.
Right.
And just make an email that, lean on, what is the new title you said?
Not mine, but yours.
Not mine, but yours. And then just, even that's good because you can look at the dates.
Right.
Too. So you're like, oh, I know. It's kind of cool because you would know when you wrote that, what your mind frame was at that too. So you should start doing that.
Yeah.
What are you going to do it for school without a computer?
So I'm using the one here, just anybody's computer is
Okay.
it's available. Because they do live streams, so that they would go online and we join the Zoom or whatever. And then it's just later to like read the book or write the paper that I need.
What college is it in Belize?
University of Belize.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah.
Is that in Belize City, or is it?
There's 3 campuses, one in Belize City, one in Belmopan, and one down south in Punta Gorda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing in Dangriga though.
No, they have a college there, but not a university yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your brother? He's not in college.
He is. He's going to the junior college in Dangriga.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And you were saying he was trying. Last time I talked to him, it was a while ago when he was in Phoenix, and he was talking about like soccer. And you were saying on the drive over here that he was signed for semi-professional, and then but they can't practice because they don't let him.
Yeah, can't do anything. Can't practice. Can't play.
It's just, I feel it's been rough on me, this pandemic, but there's so many people that like a pivotal point in their life is like paused.
Yeah.
Like just life has to stop for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's crazy because you only have so much time and you don't know how much time you have. And that's the thing with God, you don't know when it's the end. So whatever time you have, like, it's precious thing you own, really, is your health and your time. And when they're like, oh, yeah, you can't practice, and he just signed, right?
Yeah. So he was playing with another team, and so he signed with this new team that's outside of Dangriga, and they're really good, professional, the way how they carry themselves. So he was like really looking forward to that, to start anew and all of that, and then they're like, no.
Yeah, I remember him telling me that the soccer was good. It got him out of gets people out of like trouble.
Yeah.
Like people join gangs instead, and like it's way better to just if you could join soccer and get out of that. But he said even sometimes some of the guys would be in a gang and playing soccer, and then they'd get into like squabbles or whatever, like fights and stuff
on and off the field.
Yeah, on and off the field. Yeah.
That's how it goes, because unlike here or other bigger countries where they could actually sustain themselves just by playing sports, in Belize you can't do that. So you have to be playing and have a job, or playing and do something on the side. So most of them, that's what they do.
Yeah.
So it's hard, it's rough, but it's getting better. They're trying to put more funds into the sports and all of that, so that people could generate their own revenue from that.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's hard to make money in sports though, because you're relying on your body, and your body can just give out at any point, like knees and everything. You know, legs, mainly legs in soccer.
Yeah.
You don't use the rest of your body very much. But, I mean, like, you're not going to have shoulder injuries very often in soccer. You know what I mean? Or wrists or whatever, or elbows. But, yeah, that's always tough. So it's kind of good that you have another plan, you know, that he's going to college and always has another plan, another option, another avenue. Yeah. It's not just soccer. But it's also cool to make money at something you love to do, because not everyone gets that opportunity either. Most people have to do things that they don't want or aren't passionate about and to make money. You were saying last week when I was talking to you, or was it maybe the week before, that they had elections in Belize too, right?
Yeah.
Recently. And what kind of elections were that for the president? Do they have a president, right?
It's
on the parliament, or is they?
Yeah, we just have a prime minister.
Prime minister, okay.
Because we're still like under the queen and all of that. So
you still are?
Well, not.
I thought
really.
It was like a protectorate.
Yeah, so we're independent.
Yes.
But her face is still on our money.
That's so weird.
So
Canada's like that too.
Yeah. So she selects like the governor general and all of that. So they do their oversight like that. But yeah, we do our own thing. And so we just had elections, and the party that was in, like, they got swept, so they're out now. And so it was the red, so now the blue's in, and it's just like a lot of people were tired of what had happened for the past years, because the other party was in for 12 years.
Yeah.
And so they were like, "No, we're done."
How many parties are there?
There are two main parties.
A lot
of third parties over the country.
But there is a lot of third parties.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but not enough to
be anything.
Yeah.
Or be a factor.
To compete and say, well, if we win, we're going to be the new government. They have to add on to the existing first party. So they won't take over. But they're there, you know. Yeah. But people are tired, and what was good about this year's election is that a lot of the young people are paying attention. And so they see, and if they don't like what's going on, they make a bunch of noise about it, which was not the culture in Belize. We were just, you do whatever, we'll take it, and done. Now, you do anything that's outside of the line, the internet explodes, and then people start to go crazy.
Do they protest, or they just
not as much.
Yeah,
not as much. They just create platforms on social media, and they sign petitions and all of that.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, I mean, it's a start.
Yeah.
Compared to back then, whereby they would do anything, and then we just sit back.
Do you think it's good the new party's in? I think you were trying to tell me that you were like, for now it's good, but we'll see if they wait until people aren't looking and they start greasing their own pockets again.
Yeah, because
you said there's a lot of corruption there.
Yeah, and that's one thing people always try to say, like, oh, we don't want corruption and we're gonna fight against corruption.
Yeah,
you always say that to get in.
It happens here too.
You say that to get in, and then when you're in, it's like, all right, I think they're not looking now, and so you do what you want. But when they were in, the party that's in now, when they were in, they hired a bunch of CEOs that would look over the government establishments and stuff like that. And these people that were in, they kind of greased their own pockets. And now that they're back in, they hired the same faces. And so it's like, you're saying you don't want corruption, but you're doing the same thing that got you here.
It's funny, like, one of the things that people said they wanted to vote for Trump in the United States was that he's not, he has his own money, and doesn't need,
they can't buy him out.
They can't buy him.
Yeah.
And that he was gonna, he said, I'm gonna drain the swamp. And I didn't vote for him, but I was like, trying to be optimistic when he got elected. I was like, well, maybe he will. Maybe he does. Maybe he'll get rid of people that have been in for 40 years and like just taking money. But then he I remember he hired this guy, and nobody lasts long, and he fired so many people. Rex Tillerson, and he was the CEO of ExxonMobil, a giant oil company. And then that guy was supposed to be the Secretary of State, and he won an award from Putin in Russia. And I was like, you're just putting oil barons under the Secretary of State. Like, it's just, the companies are still involved is what my point is. Like, you're still allowing these companies to run things, you know, and it wasn't draining the swamp at all. Like, he put a ton of people that were just going to make money and cut funds to people, but then their interests are going to make money.
Yeah.
So you cut the funds and you tell the taxpayers, well, we're cutting money, you know, you're going to pay less, we're going to waste less money, but whatever your industry is going to be helped out because you are a part of that industry, and that's why they put you in there. So I never thought that he ever really drained the swamp, but I was optimistic because I was like, well, maybe, you know, it's something different than what we've had. It just didn't turn out that way, and I know a lot of supporters still think that he did drain the swamp, but not really, man. Like, not
Politics, man, it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, but you were saying that your family was talking about maybe seeing if you would try to get into politics, right?
Yeah, they wanted me to.
Your mom or
my dad mainly, because he's more of the politician in the family.
Okay.
And so he was trying to push me to do it. So I'm like, I'll see you when I get home. What will happen if what the atmosphere is like? Because that big switch that happened, I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen in this one too. And so, but hopefully people are paying attention to not vote for color, but vote for people.
Yeah.
And that's why.
You mean color by like red or blue?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That happens here.
Yeah, it's like
so
my family votes red, so I'll vote red.
Vote red.
That's what people think.
Oh, it's here too. Same stupid thing. It's like teams is what I tell people. You know, I noticed in Nate's garage it was like Steelers, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure his kids are Steelers fans too, you know, like, and then their kids will be Steelers fans also. But like, and that's fine, but like we're talking politics, which like control people's lives. That's different, you know, like a sports team is a sports team, whatever. Like, it doesn't really affect me any way other than I can root for them or I enjoy its entertainment. But like when it's a political party, they affect the way you can live your life.
Right.
And it shouldn't be, oh, my dad voted that way, so I have to vote that way, you know, like but that's kind of how it is for sure.
And that's why I'm saying, like, in this day and age, what happened, the elections that went, people are actually up now. So they're not doing that for the most part. Like, it's still happening, but for the most part, people are voting for somebody they believe in instead of just, oh, that's my color, so I'll vote. So that's good to know. So it's good that you are doing literature though, because you'll be able to express yourselves and write your thoughts out clearly than someone else. So like, it's good if you're a politician and you're trying to get a point across, someone that can write well, that is always a plus. That's why like a lot of lawyers are politicians, because they can articulate themselves well. Yeah. Plus they know the law. Right.
But but the ability to articulate yourself well and get your points across clearly is important. You know, like sometimes I'll talk to people about a political view or some sort of social issue, but they don't really know how to express themselves to get to the point correctly. Like, what is the reason why you think that way? And it's like they don't have a good answer because either they don't know or they just don't know how to express the words for why they believe the certain thing they do. So maybe that'll help you, you know, maybe that'll be an advantage for you.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason, well, not for politics, but I've always known that I would be in front of people. And I said, you know what, I want to study English because I want to know how to speak. And I want to keep people's attention so that they could get the point of where I'm coming from. And it wasn't for politics, but if that's where I'm going, then...
They have this thing here called Toastmasters. And it's like like giving a toast to somebody,
Okay.
and but it's like speeches basically.
Uh,
So you can practice speeches. I was gonna try to get into it, honestly.
really?
Yeah, I was taking these yoga classes, and this guy was talking about how he did Toastmasters, and it helped him run a yoga class because he learned how to be comfortable in front of like 50 people and explain something, and like to even be on a stage where you move on the stage, look at these people, look at these
Right.
people, look at, like, so you're more animated, you're not just like this wooden figure not moving. um, so maybe I would look into something like that too, how to deliver the words, because if your
Mm.
writing is great, but if you can't deliver the lines, that could be a problem too. You
That
speak well
that
though.
would be the problem. I try. I
Yeah,
try.
you speak well, and I've seen some of your videos online too. You speak to the camera well.
uh, I don't know, man. I cringe every time I look back at
Yeah,
that.
well, everyone
I
does.
think yeah, everybody does that. It's just like, ugh, I did that. I can't believe I just did that. But yeah, I try. I try.
Is there anything you want to talk about in coming up? Something you're thinking about doing, or
I am anxious about next year.
yeah?
The beginning of this year, because every December, like December 31st, I try to pray and ask God. So what is
What's
the
the year?
word for
Yeah.
next year? And so this year I heard growing pains, and I was not excited about that. Like I was like, no, give me something else.
For you?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
growing
for
pains
me.
for you.
Yeah, for me. And this year has been the roughest year of my life. I've learned to let go of my deeply rooted, I'd say, earthly desires, whereby I'm like,
Well, that's hard.
I just try to look the part and not act the part. And so God was like, no, there's no more
You
of
gotta
that.
walk the walk, not talk the
Yeah,
talk.
so he stripped that away from me, and so I'm just realizing it hurts, man. It hurts. Like I've been crying a lot, just trying to let it all out and try to really sink deep into what God has for me. And I can see the sun rising a little bit, but I know I still have a lot to go through, a long way to go. But yeah, I'm anxiously waiting next year just to see, well, after growing pains, what comes next.
Growing pains.
So yeah.
You. It's funny, like one time in church, this lady came up and she handed me this piece of paper, and it was a Bible verse, and she's like, "I felt like God told me that you need to. This is for you." Never met the lady in my life, and it was in the middle of a church, and it freaked me out. Like it freaked me out. And then she had one of the elders come over, Chad, and I don't even really talk to him since much about, and she said, "I want you to know that God does talk to you, and that it's like a pipe that was clogged, but now it's clear, and I want you need to listen to God." And it was weird because I always felt like I don't hear him very well. Like I don't feel like I hear him.
Yeah.
I don't know if I get in my own way. I'm trying to hear myself. I've felt like sometimes I get these signs, but then I always wonder if am I just looking for something that I want to see,
Yeah.
Am I just looking for the thing that I want to see? But sometimes it's things that I don't want to see. So then I'm like, well, that's probably
That's
a
probably
thing,
it.
because it's not something I want.
Yeah.
But like it keeps. Sometimes I get things that reoccur.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 3-4 times, and by like the third or fourth time, like, okay, I think this is something I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I hear, I think. I don't feel like I've ever heard God's voice, or I kind of felt his presence, but I wish I had a clearer way of hearing God, or you said you felt like growing pains was something that he's telling you. How do you feel like you heard that?
So it was weird because I've been doing it for the past 3 years. So the first time it
Praying
was more,
on December.
yeah,
Okay.
praying on December and just trying to figure it out. But this time, it was because of some things that I've been going through,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kept on like seeing.
You don't have to share anything.
No, no, no.
Okay.
It's fine.
Oh,
It's
okay.
fine. I'm an open book. I have a bunch of youth that I have to share stuff with. So
A bunch of what?
youth. So
Youth.
yeah, my babies, my kids at
Okay.
home.
You have kids?
No, no, no.
Oh,
like
just
my
people
youth
that you
group.
Oh, youth
Yeah,
group. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So they're my babies. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, like I've been seeing like just this like two things connected deeply and just like it being ripped apart.
Okay.
And it's like, but
Like
every
vision.
but every time it rips, they attach back, but further apart. So it's like it rips it, and then it's just like connects back. So I'm like, what the heck is like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's just like creating this space, but at the same time, it's growing together, and like you could see the tear. It's hard to tear, but it's connecting at the deeper level. And I'm like,
Like muscles.
right.
You break a muscle down, which is not. It's painful.
Oh, it is.
And it's sore, but it comes back
Yeah, I
and
guess-
regrows
I guess
stronger.
that's what it is. I never thought of it that way.
Oh, I don't know.
So yeah, that's what I felt was coming, and I mean it happened, and this year was a lot of new things happening. One of the biggest thing was I felt like I was the only young person my age who was unashamed of Christ in Dangriga.
Really?
Like I knew a lot of people around
Mhm.
the country, but
Mhm.
where I was, it was so weird. And then this year, one of like an old friend, she just messaged me out of the blue. She's like, "Hey, we need to do worship together, and so now, for the past 2.5 months, we've been meeting every Wednesday at her house and a couple other people." And I'm like, "Where have you guys been?" It was so
In
beautiful.
Dagriga.
Yeah, it was so beautiful to just see that come to light. I'm like, God, you're doing something, and it's been good. So we're trying to do something for Christmas and just try to do like show that God is good, and it's good. So yeah, it's been beautiful, man. But I'm still dealing with some stuff whereby I'm like, this hurts,
Yeah.
So but yeah, it's been
So she
wonderful.
brought along people too then.
Right. So she brought
Her
some,
own
and then-
people
and then I
over.
brought some of my youths as well. It's just been beautiful
Yeah.
to see that happen.
So you're like ministering to some young
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
Then how many do you
I have from anywhere like 15 to 25 on a regular Thursday.
a lot.
night. Yeah.
So you're a leader.
Yeah, I take the
mean-
van and we go around town, pick people up, take them back to the church, play some games, do some music, have a little sharing time, and then
So you go to a different church in Dangiriga, right?
yeah.
How did you meet Pastor Kenny? Because he's in
Belize City.
Belize
and Gales
City
Point.
and Gales Point.
Yeah.
And Gales Point is a little nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so small. About 300 people, 300 people.
The size of the place is small because it's a tiny little peninsula
Yeah.
that's not even a mile across and maybe a mile in or like 2
Yeah.
miles in.
Yeah. So that's where Dave went first.
Yeah.
So he was there 6 years prior.
I got to go there.
Yeah.
And that was a cool experience. We played basketball there, and then we worshipped at the church there. We went to Kenny's house, I think.
Yeah.
And then did we meet Goat there?
Yeah.
I think I met Goat there.
Probably. He's always there, so.
That's the guy I would love to interview. That's a interesting dude.
You're gonna need a translator, man.
Yeah, you know what? When we hung out with you guys, or those guys actually, because you didn't come to Honduras
Yeah.
with us, I started to hear Creole better. Not that I could speak it at all, but I could hear it, and I was starting to recognize the accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah. After a while, you'll be able to pick it up.
and sometimes I would know when he would talk to one of the Belizean guys and kind of look at me. I'm like, well, they're talking about me because he's looking at me and he's talking trash about me.
Oh yeah, he
But
does that
all
the
day.
time.
Yeah, it was hilarious. He's a funny guy. I found him so I'm pretty sure everyone finds him so interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How did it get off on that? Oh, how did you meet Pastor Kenny? Sorry.
Yeah, so Dave went there, and so when he came back to Belize, Kenny kind of helped him settle down, find a
Mhm.
house, find a vehicle, and stuff like that. So we would have our leaders meeting Tuesday night at Dave's house, and so Kenny would come from the village, and then other leaders from around Dangriga would meet at David's house. And so I was already there, and so Kenny would be in, and the other guys would be in town, and so we kind of build this
Did
relationship.
Nate go with him the first time or second time?
So this was the second time, but Dave had been there a year. Nate
Yeah.
went for a summer with Alec when they brought the guitar, and Dave's like, "You should come back." And then the summer Nate was there. The November Nate came back. Just it was like that quick. He didn't waste time.
He
They came
brought
back.
Jamie too,
Yeah,
right?
his entire family.
Yeah, and his kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
They just picked up everything and moved to Belize. And so yeah, that's how I met Kenny. And Kenny was kind of weird in the beginning, man. He treated me like one of the kids. You know, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't like. He had his van, which I didn't blame him. Like I couldn't drive that. I couldn't touch that. I couldn't even, go around. The way he would talk to me is like I was one of the younger boys, and I totally understand to now where we have this relationship where he
Mhm.
trusts me with a whole lot
Yeah,
more.
you had to make sure that you're worthy of it, of
Right,
the responsibility.
Yeah, yeah.
You bummed me out. It bummed me out. You were telling me that his van, someone lighted it on fire. That's
Yeah.
that's such a bummer, man.
Oh yeah, people, man, they're
I tried to help him last year, the year before. He had some kind of part he needed to get fixed, so I tried to send him some money to get it fixed. I don't even know if that ever happened, but he uses that van to transport people, you
Yeah.
know, and then he's going back and forth. Gales Point is pretty far from Belize City. It's a pretty good drive. How long a drive do you think it is? A couple hours?
Yeah, it's about an hour 45.
That's a ways,
because of the
man.
dirt road.
One way.
Yeah, because of the dirt road.
So just driving, that's 3 hours out of your day, and not
Yeah.
including the time you hang out there and do your thing. Yeah, it bummed me out. Someone lit it on fire, man. So you know him from like leadership groups,
Yeah, with Dave.
and then do they meet with pastors in Dangriga too, or no?
No, we
That's
did
a separate thing.
Yeah, we did one time where we called it Splash for Christ, where we would just have a bunch of water games and then do a big like worship night message and everything. We bring all the churches together. That would be the only time all the pastors would meet. But other than that, not really.
They do their own thing.
Yeah, that's kind of the culture there, where that's your church, this is my church. We don't do anything together, which I am trying to stop.
Yeah.
So I've been reaching out to a bunch of young worshipers from across the churches and just telling them, hey, we're doing the same thing. Let's just do it together,
Yeah, it's all body of Christ.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah. The problem is everybody wants to be the star. And I'm like, you if you want to do that, yeah, you could be. I don't mind just
the
staying in
problem
the back,
is Christ is the star.
Right. But
Like it is. It's hard to get your ego out of the way, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And especially when it's deeply rooted in the church, because you see your leaders doing it.
Mm.
It's like whenever you want to do something with them, oh, we have to do it at our church. Oh, we have to do it this way. I'm like, really? That matters? No, that doesn't matter. Like, let's just get it done.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
And
been
there's
crazy.
more power when you unite too.
Yeah.
You know, it's just more power.
Yeah, and I think that's why the churches are struggling in Dangriga, because
I think churches
They
struggle
know.
here with that too. It seems like Living Streams does a good job, but there's many churches I've gone to, like they're their own thing. They're
Mhm.
their own universe, their own like microcosm, you know,
Huh.
and they don't seem to reach out to other churches. But Living Streams seems to be like pretty good about that.
yeah, it's interesting what would happen when you actually leave and you see, because I remember when I came here the first time, there was so many things that I learned, but at the same time people were learning. And same thing when they go to Belize, they're like, they learned a lot going there compared to thinking, oh well, we're coming here to help and this and that.
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
When
it's
I went,
a two-way street.
I got probably more out of it than I gave, for sure. And Honduras too. I got
That's-
way more, especially Honduras. I got way more out of Honduras than
That's interesting.
that I gave to Honduras. I tried to give, and I went there with the intention of like fully just giving myself as much as I
Mhm.
possibly can, but like some value, like some non tangible values I got back. Like I never brought anything. Well, I guess I got a machete back. I bought a machete. That was cool.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
But
when you guys couldn't bring it across because it was too late.
I don't know what. I have it in my office.
I know, because remember the girls had to bring it back when they came, because when we went to the airport that one time, you were it was already late and the check-in was closed, and so when they came a few months later, you guys had to bring it across.
No. I think I did. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, because I was there when I took you to the airport, and we got there so late because we went to the pool, and then we went there to drop you guys off at the airport, and it was like, nope, no check bags, only carry on.
Maybe that's what it was. It was a pretty crazy trip. I mean, even going, like, we had to run, and Dave had to put his foot in the door so they didn't close the door for us to get on the plane. That was great. All that was great. I've never traveled like that before, where like everything is like to the minute of being late, and like disaster by the minute. Like if we don't make it, you know. It was like truly like putting it in God's hands, but almost like testing God. I'm like, I don't know if we should be testing his patience like this. Like, but I don't know. Everyone said that was how Dave operates, so I didn't know Dave very well. So, but it was interesting. That was an interesting trip. I wanted to go back, but you were saying that like you can't go to Belize without like being stuck at a hotel, basically.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. So.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that. It's like, that's not the point, you know? Come here to be free, not.
Yeah. I just wanted to do Belize social project. I think that's their jiu-jitsu club down there. I just wanted to help their club again, but I don't know. Anything else going on? You said growing pains. So what do you plan with that? What's the plan for the new year? Or just see what that means, find out what that means still.
Yeah, just trying to see it out to the end. I write a lot. I do a lot of writing, music or poems or whatever. I do a lot of reading as well, do a lot of Bible study, listen to a bunch of podcasts, take down notes. Because I actually preach or teach on Sundays too at the church there in Nangriga.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I try to just channel that energy into that, trying to teach people what I've been through and, you know, how you could avoid some of the things, you know. When
the churches closed down here and we couldn't go to Living Streams, I started like a mini church at my gym, our academy, and like I tried to get Dave to send one of the youth pastors. I'm like, just send one of the guys here. They need practice. Like they're not doing anything. Like, you know, I don't think we'll get in trouble by the government. Maybe, but it's for God. So what are we?
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to be able to do that anyway, right? But he's like, oh no, you'll be fine. I'm like, I don't do this. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, you know. And we only did a few, maybe 4 weeks. We did it on Saturdays.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel like I knew enough.
Really?
I studied enough.
Yeah, it's always like that. When you're done, you're like, oh, I should have said it that way. I should have done this. I should have done that. And I'm like, you know what? You're done. So just next week, just double up. That's what I tried to tell myself, because I went through the book of Ruth, and every week when I'm finished, I'm like, man, I missed a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. And so the next week I try to add that, but while I'm adding, I miss a bunch of stuff. And I was like, you know what? They get it.
Well, the Bible's weird because many times I feel like I get more understanding. It's not like the first time you read it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even the second time. It's like years later, like, oh.
That was there.
And I missed it. Yeah. It's like sometimes you got to marinate in it.
Yeah.
You know, like you could just eat meat and it's fine. But if you marinate it and stay in it longer, it gets way better. And the Bible's kind of like that sometimes. I feel like it's like if you marinate it, think on it, it's not like the first time, you know?
Yeah.
And I've always wondered if preachers are that way too. I'm sure, like, you know, 10 years of preaching and then like the 11th year, like, oh, I have a different thought on this now.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah, Dave was just mentioning he didn't even notice the Barabbas thing where the father, son of the father, and he's like he's been reading that, I've been reading that, we've been reading that, and it's just like you never see that, it's just like right there, and a bunch of different things. I've heard the prodigal son story being told time and time again, and every time it's somebody brings it with a different point of view.
yeah,
I'm just like, what? I never like thought of it that way. So
yeah,
like you're
yeah,
saying, you just gotta stay in it and get through it. And it's gonna be a new revelation almost every time.
yeah. What was one that, um, Sodom and Gomorrah, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, so many times that is produces like sexual immorality is like
Yeah.
the theme of the story. And I watched this show, and it was like a rabbi talking about it. And he was like talking about being a host and just being so willing to give up his own daughters versus these traveling, which were angels that they didn't know. But he was such a good host that these people that he didn't know, he was willing to sacrifice his own family.
Yeah.
And there was like the sacrifice of your own family. And he was saying, he was pointing out that part of the story versus like the depravity of the
Right.
city, and like nobody's good at the city, but he was trying to show and talk about this angle of like culture where you're supposed to invite someone in your house, be
Yeah.
willing to give up things for these people, even though you don't know them. And that was one that was like, oh, I always hear it, Sodom and Gomorrah is always like, oh, this is the depravity of
Yeah.
the city, and like just the nobody is good or there's no good left, and that's why it was completely destroyed. But he was talking about, well, there's no one good that was willing to put others first, and he was willing to put others first, put these angels first by giving up his own daughters, like, hey, take my daughters instead of these people.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you just sometimes people have a different way of seeing something, and you're like, oh, I never saw it that way.
Right.
It's pretty cool, like a different take on it, or different I don't know. That was one that was like shocking to me. Like,
Yeah, that's interesting.
anything else going on? We could wrap it up.
Yeah, I think that's it. Kind of went through my entire mind. It's like,
Well, you always come back another time, or maybe I'll make it to Belize. I'd love to go to Dan Grigo. I've never been there.
yeah,
We just hung out in Belize City and Gales Point. Gales Point was pretty cool.
yeah. We have a beach in Dangriga, so
Okay.
you should come.
Yeah, we didn't even go to any beaches when I was in Belize at all. We crossed this river in South Belize, or Belize City South Side. We crossed the river or whatever. That's about as much as I got to see anything. Oh no, we ate food but it was at night, so I couldn't see the ocean.
Yeah, it's like a sea wall. There's no beach though. It's just a
Oh.
wall because erosion and all of that. So it's
Okay.
like blocked it off.
Blocked it off.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I can go to the beach in Sangria. That sounds. I don't know. People go on vacation in Dangriga, right? It's like a vacation spot.
Yeah, it's one of the tourist destinations there.
Okay.
Hopkins, Placencia. Placencia is the place.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I can convince my wife to come one time because we'll go somewhere cool. I wasn't, those places I went, it wasn't like playtime for me, That's the way I looked at it. I'm like, sometimes these people go on these mission trips and it's like just an excuse to have a vacation. I'm like, that's not what I'm here for, man. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not here to play, If playing happens, I guess it's okay, but like, that's not the goal for me to go here.
Right.
And sometimes I see people and they go and I'm like, I think like you just wanted a vacation and not really seeking God's justice or trying to help people, I don't know. Anyway, anything else?
Just thank you for having me, man.
Thanks
on
for
your
coming
show.
in, man, and hanging out with me. You're an interesting guy, so I wanted to interview you. I interviewed Kenny, but he was like, I think he's super nervous or whatever. Like, I don't know if he thought I was trying to expose him or something, but I'm like, man, you're a cool guy. Like, I just want to
Yeah.
know, you have an interesting life, I
Yeah.
just wanted to hear from you. But it was great talking to you. Thanks, and hopefully you come back.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Peace.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather beat the ladder. Instead of getting fatter, let the footsteps resume naturally.